The Albanians from kings of weed to kings of coke. Once the king of marijuana, the country is now the king of coke. We're talking about the Albanians, the most recent cocaine conquerors. They have carved out a major presence in the UK criminal landscape by supplying cocaine to other crime syndicates throughout the country. But how did this shift happen? How did they achieve market dominance? For 15 years, they have been learning from their masters, progressing from smugglers to sought-after drug suppliers while avoiding violence and relying on the formation of a solid network of relationships. And now, they've emerged. Watch the video all the way through to find out how the Albanians made the switch. The region, known as the Balkans, which is located in the middle of southeastern Europe, has a long history of serving as a significant transit route for illegal substances, particularly heroin, coming from the east and being transported throughout Europe. Particularly after the fall of communism in 1991, Albania became an important country in the region for the trafficking of heroin. This trend continued even after Albania gained its independence. Strategically located in the middle of the region, with a long coastline along both the Adriatic and Ionian Seas, and close to both Italy and Greece, the country quickly became a key hub for heroin coming from the east before it reached the European Union. Albanian gangs are thought to be some of the biggest drug smugglers in the world. Law enforcement officials in both the US and Europe have said that Albania is the biggest supplier of cannabis to the EU and a major transit point for heroin and cocaine. Some people think that just marijuana brings in up to $4 billion a year, which is half of Albania's GDP. The Albanian Mafia is involved in a wide range of illegal activities such as trafficking drugs, weapons, and even people. People say that they control a big part of the wholesale cocaine market in Europe, which is worth billions of dollars. Along with trafficking heroin, the country is also known for illegally growing cannabis. Albania was thought to be one of Europe's biggest producers of cannabis grown outside for more than 20 years, and those in power didn't mind. From 2000 to 2014, the village of Lazarat in the south of Albania was known as a place where cannabis was grown. The village became a safe place to grow cannabis, but not just for the people who lived there. Criminals from other parts of the country would rent land in the town and grow their own crops. Along with Lazarat, the Dukajini Highlands in the northern Albanian municipality of Shkodër were a well-known place to grow crops. But how did the growth of marijuana fall in Lazarat and the whole of Albania? For many years, Albania was home to a state within a state. It was kept going by the marijuana trade, which was worth more than half the state's official GDP. Heavy machine guns, mortars, and RPGs, along with the possible help of government officials, made sure of its sovereignty. It is a village in southern Albania called Lazarat, and there are about 3,000 people there, and they used to grow 900 tons of marijuana every year. In June 2014, a huge group of police officers started a plan to take back the village. There were gunfights for weeks, and the marijuana was set on fire. In the 1990s, Lazarat became a place where a lot of pot was grown. Albania's rough change from a communist hermit state to a democracy ended with the country falling apart in 1997. Albania was full of weapons that were stolen from military depots, and its government was both weak and corrupt. And this made Lazarat the most important source of marijuana in Europe. As gangsters and officials made money, the people of Lazarat did well on a smaller scale because the police mostly left them alone. They also got the worst of it when their business ended quickly and violently. So this is the story of this village and the people who built the marijuana empire and now live in its ruins. Even though police cracked down on cannabis growing in both places in 2014, the war was far from over. In fact, in 2016, cannabis was grown all over the country at a level that had never been seen before. This made people worried, and as a result of pressure from inside and outside the country, the police and other institutions in Albania worked harder to stop it. Over the past years, the number of people growing marijuana has dropped to a level that has never been seen before. Albanian criminal groups have a lot of financial power and important knowledge. So at the start of 2000, these groups also got into the lucrative business of trafficking cocaine. The beginning was simple. The Italian Mafia and other criminal networks hired random criminals from Albania to drive cocaine from ports all over the continent and sell it on the streets of Europe's capital cities. But Albanian criminal groups soon got better at it and learned the tricks. They moved up the value chain and became major distributors by getting cocaine directly from Latin America and dumping it in Albania and some of the biggest ports in Western Europe. This helped them set up distribution networks across the continent and beyond. Using the Italian Mafia as a model, these criminal groups have moved closer to where the drugs come from. Their middlemen are now in countries where cocaine is made, like Colombia, and in important places where drugs are sent out, like Ecuador. These organizations had also begun to construct cells and expand their activities, which made it easier for them to carry out their plans in key cities throughout a number of European countries, including the United Kingdom, Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany, amongst others. So they were able to set up and run the whole chain, from getting big shipments directly from Latin America to selling the drugs on the streets of Europe. This gave them more power and made them more well-known. Accounts show that this way of doing business has brought in millions of euros, which are usually laundered in Albania and other places where they do business. The vast majority of the time, drug trafficking is at the heart of what Albanian criminal groups do. The heroin that comes into Albania through Turkey is sold by these groups in Western and Central European countries. They also sell cocaine that they get in Latin America. Illegal cannabis is another thing that is often a big part of what these groups do. Most of the time, speedboats take cannabis grown in Albania to Italy, where it is then sold all over Western Europe. In 2016, the amount of cannabis grown in Albania reached a level that had never before been seen, and it was grown all over the country like never before. In the same year, the police seized nearly 2.5 million marijuana plants. This is a much higher number than the average number of cannabis plants found by law enforcement in previous years, which was about a quarter, and it's almost 4 times higher than the number of cannabis plants seized in 2015, which was a record at the time. So how did Albania conquer the cocaine market in the UK? Albanian criminal groups have slowly built up their wealth. Albanian criminal groups have learned that the profit margins are high enough that they can cut the prices in half without lowering the quality of the drug. The UK is one of the most successful drug markets in Europe. It has made about 30 billion euros in profit before the pandemic. Every criminal group wants to get their hands on this huge amount. A kilogram of cocaine cost about 40,000 euros 10 years ago. In the years before COVID-19, the price dropped below 30,000 euros. Albanian groups have made their competitors change to the new prices so they don't lose market share. Then, when they started to look at Latin America, their profits went up. There they found contacts and opportunities. The most dangerous criminals in Albania have been able to settle in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Panama. People who can buy cocaine in South America for $4,000 a kilo can then sell it in Europe for 30,000 euros a kilo. This is made possible by a large network of corrupt port officials and business owners in the most important commercial ports in Europe. The Albanian Mafia has been able to put its members in key positions inside the ports, especially in Rotterdam, Antwerp, and Algeciras. This makes it easy for them to get past security checks. But operations are not always done without being checked. In April of last year, the Belgian police were able to stop and seize a shipment of 27 tons of cocaine from South America. If each kilogram had been sold for an average of 30,000 euros, the shipment would have made over 800 million euros. Thanks for watching. We are working hard on a new exclusive series. Don't miss them. To support Inside Crime, subscribe and press that bell icon.